What will we do with the drunken sailor? What will we do with the drunken sailor? What will we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning? Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning.
Shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor early in the morning.
Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning.
We'll put him in a longboat till he's sober, put him in a longboat till he's sober, put him in a longboat till he's sober early in the morning.
Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning.
This is Jack Purkey. I signed on in the Navy in, I think it was around August of 1956. I was assigned to the USS ATKA, AGB-3, which was an icebreaker at the time stationed in Seattle, Washington. And we headed south towards the Antarctic in, I think, early November of 1957. Well, the mission was to just support Operation Deep Freeze 3. And also the International Geophysical Year, which they call the IGY, a scientific mission which was going on at the same time. These pictures here are taken at Cape Hallett Station, which is on the west side of the Ross Sea, and it was a New Zealand base. And I talked somebody, or the helicopter pilots, into taking us over to on shore there for a while, myself and a couple of my friends. So we went over there and had lunch, and then we took these pictures of the penguins and the skua gulls up on the hillside. Well, they just ignored us. They were kind of friendly and pretty much ignored us. They went about their business, and you could just walk right through the Penguin City, like I'm doing in the picture here. The skua gulls, of course, they try to get the eggs. Of course, those eggs there are the skua gulls' eggs, I think, but. Then they try to get to baby penguins when they can, and they generally nest up on the hillside too, up on the slopes there. And the skua gulls don't like it if you get close to their babies, because they'll come and dive bomb you and hit your head with their feet. I had hair at that time, so I didn't want them getting tangled up in my hair.
On an old kazoo with any old kind of song. Do-dee-doo on an old kazoo, and everyone sings along.
Swinging in the hammock, paddling a canoe, walking with your baby down the avenue, sitting in your parlor, all the gang around,
Harmonizing this happy sound. Do-dee-doo on an old kazoo, it makes you feel mighty good. Do-dee-doo on an old kazoo, and cheer up the neighborhood. You don't have to know any music, 'cause all you have to do, dee-doo, 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 on an old kazoo.
Here's a couple of the crewmen. I guess they went up higher on the hill so they could slide down in the snow. Yeah, I had forgotten about that, but I do remember hiking up on that same hillside to look at the baby skua gull chicks, and that's where their mom got mad at me. So, and that's looking down from the hillside where I was onto the big. It was a big penguin city. There must be thousands of them down there. And that's me when I was a couple of years younger than I am now. It looks like it might have been volcanic rocks, but I'm just not certain of that. I didn't take time there to check on what kind of rocks they were.
Now they're trying to dive bomb you.
Yeah. And she's not very happy about me being there, see? Yeah, she's not happy at all about me being there. So I finally got done taking the pictures up on the hillside there and went back down to look at the flatland penguins down there. Those are Adelie penguins. They're probably the most numerous penguins in Antarctica. Well, we had a mission to go to Cape Hallett Station, so we were tied up maybe just a few hundred yards offshore, wherever it was deep enough for the ship. So the helicopter only had to fly maybe a quarter of a mile, something like that, to get us over there where the station was. I think it was mostly a scientific station. Well, that's the flight deck on the back of my ship, which was a USS ATKA AGB-3. And I don't know what they're doing back there. They were coming and going all the time with those helicopters. Now, this looks like Rotorua, New Zealand. That's an area between south of Auckland, New Zealand, which has a lot of hot springs and geysers, just like Yellowstone.
Right in the middle of the village.
The Maori, the natives down there, they're Polynesians actually, use it to wash their clothes. And also in areas the New Zealanders have used the geothermal energy there, you know, to for various heating and power sources.
It's wild pigs.
That's in central New Zealand, North Island. I had forgotten about that waterfall. I forgot where that is. Oh, and there's our ship. Oh yeah, we after we left Cape Hallett Station, we went to Wilkes Station, and we broke a propeller blade. So that's where we were stopped in Wellington. Took us 3 weeks to get the propeller fixed, get a new one on there. And there's some of the officers on our ship there. Yeah, there we are, either coming into dry dock or going out of dry dock right there. I'd gotten off the ship for Liberty and I was walking up on the hillside there. This is Wellington, New Zealand. So I walked all over that town. Yeah, I walked all over the town. I walked up on the hill so I could get a good view of our ship. And here I think we're coming into our ship, the dry dock. Yeah, there's our ship coming into the dry dock to get that propeller fixed. It broke one blade broke off, and my stateroom where myself and my roommate lived was right above the propeller, and you can imagine that big propeller with only 2 or 3 blades on there vibrated terrible because, you know, it was way off balance with only 2 blades on there, and they're huge blades. And being the dispersing officer, I had to pay for the new blade. Of course, the government paid for it, but I took the check up there to the company that fixed it, and it was $31,000 to get that fixed. It would probably be $1 million now, but that was early 1958. So it.
Did you guys have to get towed from where it broke, or was it enough power to?
No, it was probably slow, and it was the vibration was terrible. It was hard for me to sleep at night because of the uneven, unbalanced propeller shaft.
She rises early in the morning. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises early in the morning.
That's just starting through the Panama Canal. That's got to be what that is. and I had a new roommate. This was after getting back from Antarctica to Seattle, and we were around Seattle for a while, and then we moved to Boston as our home port, and we had to go through the Panama Canal to get there. We would go through the west side, the Pacific side, and go through it and get to the Atlantic side, so we'd go on up to Boston. And that, of course, was warm and tropical like the Philippines down there in Panama. Yeah, we got I stopped with my roommate, and we were going to go look for a museum. So we looked around town, and we asked to try. This isn't recording, is it?
Yeah, it is.
I can't tell you, just kind of X-rated.
Oh,
next part.
Dad.
Huh? Okay, and now this is watching the locks fill. You know, the water. You can see the water rising there. They have powerful pumps that. Well, part of it's gravity flow, but I don't know what's part's gravity flow and what part's pumps. But anyway, they raise the water level, and up goes the ship and goes through the lake. There's a big lake up in there that you go through quite a long part of that Panama Canal. Lake Gatun, is it? I don't know. I can't remember the name of the lake. They're working on something. A lot of people died. Got yellow fever building that canal. My car, my 57 Chev was on the back there someplace. I wonder if I took a picture of it. They allowed us to take our cars around if we wanted to. So I think that's my car right there.
Oh. So how did you get your car? You took your car onto the Navy ship?
Yeah.
Oh.
They loaded them onto the flight deck, and there's a house on the edge of that lake, and went to the Panama Canal. This must be where we came out on the Atlantic side, so we're now in the Caribbean Sea. There's my car right there, see?
Oh.
That's in Boston. Here we're in Boston, Massachusetts, and they're unloading my car.
Oh, cool car, Dad.
It was cool until I wrecked it. This was going up to the Arctic. Yeah, this was initiation crossing the Arctic Circle. Going up north of Greenland. That's the dentist there, I think.
Initiation?
Yeah. Oh, look at that. You had to kiss the stomach of this engineman. And he had... Okay, after we left Boston and headed up towards Greenland, we had to cross the Arctic Circle. And we had to go through the initiation... after we crossed the Arctic Circle, it was pretty bad because you had there's a guy from the engine room, and he had dirty black grease smeared all over his stomach, and it was full of sand. Well, we had to not only kiss his stomach, but the other guys there grabbed our ears and just jammed our face into all this sand and black dirty grease on this dirty engine guy's stomach. And that took forever to clean that off. But anyway, I'm still alive, so. I got a little card to show for it, but ceremony you have to go through when you cross the Arctic Circle and the equator. We had a ceremony at the equator too, and they were getting prepared for it. But right when that happened, some poor guy, one of the sailors, was cleaning up around the the rudder quadrant on the stern of the ship, and it was kind of hot, and he stood up, and the machinery practically cut him in two. And the doctor tried to save him, but they couldn't. So they tried to save him. So what are they going to do with the body? They told us at the time that there was a special freezer that they could put it in up near the captain's cabin that they could take him out when they got back home and give him a proper burial. That was several months before this part. But I'm talking about this celebration here, which I did take pictures of, or somebody took it. for me, and I had to go through all that. And we were helping these Danish ships. You know, Greenland is a Danish possession. Yet this guy was stuck on ice, see? And we were trying to help get that ice out from under his the bow of his ship.